Ladies and gentlemen, CG Reaction. This is Starsector Review. Explore the cosmos. Trademark. Ruin everything. Trademark. By the channel ssethtzeentach. More gameplay and less ethics than leading brand space sims. Okay, so every time I see a Seth's video now, I'm convinced that he specifically chooses, games, right? He specifically chooses the games that are morally questionable and kind of, fucked up in a way. So, I believe that he didn't have to write that in the description. More gameplay, less ethics. I know it's less ethics because he's reviewing it, right? So, I guess it's going to be different from all the other space simulator, even the online and offline games that are Starsector. This one, 2013. Yeah. I love Seth with his whole channel and everything he covers so far, every single video. I've never come across any single game that he reviewed and I'm like, yeah, man, he was fine. Every single game is fucking incredible. I don't know if the games are incredible or he's making it sound like that, but yeah, they are all awesome. So let's watch this one. Remember, if you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe. Check out the reaction. There's a link in the description. Check out the cards. I think by now I should have created a Seth's playlist because I've reacted to so many videos from him. So check out the cards. There's a playlist for the Seth's all reviews. Check out the playlist too, like Warhammer 40k, Internet Historian, things like that, history, and yeah, let's do this one.
Hey people.
Seth here. Starsector is an open-world space strategy game about selling heroin and illegally harvested kidneys on the black market, making money off misery, disruption, and political unrest, and ambushing trade convoys in deep space just to watch a planet descend into chaos. I've been playing this game on and off for years now. It's amazing, yet I don't hear many people talk about it. Starsector is a massive project done entirely by 4 people, and it's had updates for about 9 years now, each one getting closer to their dream goal of simulating a living, breathing galaxy. Story, okay?
I'm gonna lie, I already like this game because I love space, everything about it. So anything that even come close to any space game, or that's why Mass Effect Trilogy is one of the favorite game of all time, because how it's made, right? So this is space. I see the different type of stars and planets. This already looks awesome.
Nobody gives a shit, so I'm gonna be quick. Right, so in Starsector, humanity figured out
as soon as I say everything looks great, Seth said nobody gives a shit. That's about right.
Faster than light travel. We colonized thousands of worlds, spanning hundreds of galaxies, using the relays from Mass Effect, which were the only practical way of crossing galaxies. They were the only practical way, until suddenly, nobody knows exactly why, all the gate systems went dead. We could no longer reach the rest of humanity. This event is referred to as the collapse and marks the end of the prosperous domain era. In an isolated galaxy 206 cycles after the collapse, our story takes place. Common humanity has been replaced with ambition, desperation, and conflict. Our future is bleak, and we don't know what tomorrow might hold for us. Welcome to Starsector. Basically, everything's a piece of shit. We're in the galactic version of the Dark Ages, but it's super fun. Nobody remembers how to make anything anymore, mainly because of DRM and copyright laws. I'm not kidding, that is the actual in-game reason. We can't reliably make new ships or machinery because all the corporations put copy protection on their design chips. Anyway, in the case—
Ooh, seriously though. I mean, that is a real fucking issue. I know the copyright has certain, I guess limitation. It stays at certain time period, then it becomes a public domain thing. But even that is like how CGP Grace has asterisks on top of it, because there's always turnarounds around that. So, and in the future there could be laws that could have passed that just says, okay, copyright is indefinite or something. There is no time period on that, because that's just fucked up. Right now there is a time limit specifically for that reason, that companies, just like what he said, companies can't do this shit. Like if a certain company owns everything, that becomes a, I guess, permanent thing, right? Like kids and kids and kids, like even after a fucking 1,000 years they would own it. I mean, you should get priority because you discovered something, right? So you should get priority. That's what copyright is. But if you hadn't invented that, somebody along the way would have invented that. So it's not right to give you rights for, I guess, millennia, right? That's what copyright is. So temporary period, whatever it might be, 100, 200 years, you and your family gets the copyright. But after that, it becomes public domain. That is why that thing exists. But I can definitely see somebody in the future removing that and just company owning everything and issue creating like this. Like, nobody can make anything because everything is owned by certain companies.
chaos that followed, everybody broke off into their own respective...
That reminds me of that thing, Clear Sky. No, wait a minute. Was that not Clear Sky? What the fuck is the name of that? Fuck. The internet historian video about the space game, right? I don't know why I'm forgetting that name. But, somebody, I guess Sky, some company with the name Sky basically objected. The game is using the name Sky because they have the same name. That's how ridiculous this has gotten. So I can already see people objecting to everything because of copyright issues.
Factions and keep dick-waving each other. But ultimately, nobody can
No Man's
consolidate
Sky.
enough power to wipe out or unify the competition. However, they didn't account for one thing. You, thrown into the space sandbox, you begin as nothing but a pilot with a small fleet. Insignificant in the scale of things, but given time, practice, and some high-level maneuvers, you could be the one person to unite the sector. Or reduce it to the Stone Age. Every faction is unique in their motivations, and it generally pays to be nice to them. That is, if they can be reasoned with. In no particular order, these are the Hegemony, which represent the combined remains of law and order from the Domain era, the Persine League, which said fuck taxes and broke off from the Hegemony, the Syndrian Diktat, a military dictatorship which also said fuck taxes and broke off from the Hegemony, Corporation, which represents the R&D business interest of Tritachyon Incorporated, the mega corporation responsible for pioneering unregulated AI technology. Conversely, there's the Luddic Church, who are subhumans that believe the collapse was God's punishment for molesting the stars, and that artificial intelligence is literally electronic Satan. These are considered the moderates. Then there's the Luddic Path, a sect of fundamentalist space jihadists that believe the answer to man's technological hubris is rampant terrorism.
Every time we see something like this, especially I guess 20 years ago or something, we saw something like this, some story coming from some movies, TV shows, games, and we feel like, okay, this is some exaggerated thing of the real events that happens. But recent things that is happening around the world, how the people are basically, these things are not far off, right? Religions would like this definitely rise up if some shit like this would happen, right? I mean, look at all the issues that right now is happening, right? With all the QAnon thing, the flat earthers, literally, I mean, their numbers is rising. So humans basically, doing ridiculous things is not far-fetched to think about. But 20 years ago, people just saw something like this in movies, Hollywood, or in, things like this. People just automatically think, you know what? This is just exaggerated way of showing, right? People might not go this crazy, but that's not true apparently.
Everyone hates the Luddic Path, and the Luddic Path hates everyone. And finally, pirates. These are self-explanatory and quite consistent with their ideology. You have stuff I want, so I'm going to kill you. Or you don't. I'm going to kill you anyway for the hell of it. Your relations and interactions with each of these factions will determine the fate of the galaxy. Anyway, gameplay. Everything's a wreck, tensions are high, but most of all, there's profit to be made. Mostly everything in Starsector revolves around money or credits. These are effectively space bitcoins and are universally accepted everywhere. Most of your time, as with real life, will be spent figuring out how to make as much money as possible. You can see why I love this game. It runs in my blood. Your starting fleet is very small. You can't really fight most enemies, but you are fast and burn very little fuel to get around. The only means of interstellar travel in Starsector is by diving into hyperspace and burning through metric tons of antimatter fuel to reach distant stars, so the size and composition of your fleet is important.
Antimatter fuel. How did they contain it? With what? Antimatter material? How did they put that material on non-antimatter thing? Every time somebody uses antimatter, I don't know why I get pissed off. Like, how the fuck you supposed to interact matter with antimatter? That doesn't work. It would explode. It doesn't matter, like there's a special container. What is that container made of? Antimatter things? That how is anything like on your ship is holding that container? No, that material is made of normal matter, not antimatter. Then how is it holding the antimatter fuel inside?
for fuel economy. You should always watch your fuel tanks and pray you never run dry while in the middle of deep space, because once you go dry, your fleet will be pulled into the nearest gravity well, which, if you're unlucky, might be a red giant. If you're very unlucky, a black hole. So at the start, I recommend you do planetary surveys and exploration contracts. These don't require much investment, just patience and nerves of steel. Sometimes, while exploring deep space, you might hear distress signals. We ignore those. Just ignore them. Contracts are offered to you by...
That is peak Seth, right? What he just said, that is peak Seth. That's how you know whose voice that is. If you were just told this is, if you don't even recognize Seth's voice and you just told that this is somebody's narrating, guess who it is? After hearing that, oh, that's definitely Seth. Ignore the distress calls, yeah.
Intel frequencies from different factions, businesses, and planet administrators. How close you are to the nearest communications relay will decide how quickly you hear about it, since transmissions travel in real time. You should generally be very quick about grabbing these. Space is busy, and contracts can be withdrawn or taken by somebody else without notice. With money to spare, you can go ahead and actually invest into your own ships. And let me tell you, there's a lot of ships to choose from, with different roles, specifications, and hull sizes. This ranges from the smallest frigates to capital class ships, which take up most of the screen. It doesn't end there. Every ship can be modified, outfitted, and equipped with weapons respective to the type and size of the mount. There's a lot of crazy setups. You can even make huge modifications to the hull to completely change your ship's behavior. For example, let's say you want your cruiser to act as a makeshift carrier. You can convert their cargo bays to accommodate fighter squadrons instead. Some factions also cook up their own modifications. Pirates don't have top-of-the-line equipment, so they improvise. For this reason, the Pirate's capital class ship is a stolen cargo freighter ripped apart and stitched back together with as many guns as they could possibly hold. The Luddic path follows the same philosophy of DIY hull mods, but they don't care about coming back alive, so they take captured fuel ships, override the safety settings, and turn it into a gigantic battering ram. And it's absolutely terrifying when you realize it's burning towards you at full speed. The amount of customization is insane, and you can do this for every single ship in your fleet. Combat takes place automatically, with your fleet responding to orders to the best of their ability. They're actually quite...
Wow, okay. Look at that, all the different type of fighting and combats. It's different type of enemies do, different type of ships do. So many ships, so many different modifications. Damn, this game already looks awesome. Alright, one thing I've noticed so far by watching all the sets videos, the games like this, right, the strategy type of view, not the, first person, third person type of view, I don't know how else to say that, this type of games. These games have really detailed things. And it kind of makes sense because the people don't have to worry about creating a realistic immersion world and, all the mechanics around it, right? They only have to focus on the game mechanics here, and that's it, right? So they have more time to think about what to add, what not to add, what type of mechanics and AI should be. So clearly games like this have better things, because every single game so far he says Dwarf Fortress, Space Station, things like that. All these games have ridiculous amount of features that even I'm like, what the fuck? How did the developers thought of adding that? Because there's way too many things there. But obviously it makes sense. They had all the time to, I guess, every time they had thought about that, because they didn't have to think about how to create a 3D world or something.
Good, until you get a reckless officer who decides that the best defense is a good offensive ramming maneuver. However, you pilot your flagship directly. It takes some getting used to. Every ship generates flux whenever they shoot or absorb damage, so you'll have to manage or vent the extra flux into space to avoid overloading your system and leaving yourself open to attack. The same goes for enemies. As if all of this wasn't already too much to take in, every ship type has unique specializations. For example, Phase class ships can't use shields. Instead, they can do this, which moves the ship safely into an alternative dimension where time flows much faster. Combine that with my favorite ship in the game, the Starsector equivalent of Killer Queen, and you've got a ship that can turn anything into a bomb while hiding inside another dimension. I don't have to explain shit. It just works. Combat is a...
That is incredible, man. Who the fuck needs shield when you can just disappear like that?
amazing once you figure it out. It's simultaneously the hardest and most satisfying component of the game. Luckily, your capital is not at risk. All planetary stations offer combat simulations to test your design. However, you'll need a lot more money to get to that point, so you'll need to work with the game's economic system. Yes, this game has a fully simulated real-time economy. Every colony produces, demands, and consumes different resources, and needs a constant stream of trade traffic to stay functional. The resources needed depend on the industry. For example, mining. Mining is very depressing, so miners consume a lot of heroin to numb the pain of being a miner. A mining colony's output stagnates if the smuggled narcotics cannot meet demand. Each time you enter a marketplace in the game, you can pull up the entire market data, see consumers, producers, market shares, and relative prices across the sector. But making a profit isn't that easy. The open market is subject to a massive trade tariff of 30%, which can quickly cut into your margins. So we don't trade on the open market. We trade.
Oh my god, this is so fucking good. They have an actual functioning economy. I don't know, whenever a game that it has a fighting element, great detailed world, great detailed, mechanics that you can equip, weapons and ship, and has a great fucking economy system, I just like that's the best fucking thing ever, right? I love this shit already, all the different type of shares and things. So, can you basically, sell and buy and I guess affect the market that way? Right? If you sell too many things at certain things, you just create inflation or something like that. Is there some feature like that there? Because that would be so fucking good.
On the black market, smuggling shit planet to planet completely sidesteps paying taxes and lets you deal in highly illegal contraband like combat mechs, AI cores, harvested organs, and every drug you can think of. However, the life of a smuggler isn't that easy. Smuggle too much and your suspicion level increases, which means patrol fleets are more likely to do random stop searches. Sometimes they find nothing. Sometimes they find all of your contraband, destroy it, and hurt your reputation. I still remember the moment I was amazed by this game. I was about to be stop searched by a random patrol, so I thought, hey, let's just eject all of my drugs out into space. So I got stop searched. They found nothing, as expected. Then the patrol officer said, hey, you're all clean. By the way, we scanned some cargo pods floating around nearby, and you know what? They're filled with illegal shit, but it's not yours, right? So we'll just confiscate these and destroy them. This
oh my
game
god,
thinks of everything. So to smuggle effectively,
oh my god,
teach you.
Oh my god, which something should have been an exploit. Developers thought of that, put the feature in. This is incredible.
The tricks of a trade, which conveniently are the same tools you'll use for navigating space. Number 1. In civilized space, everyone has to have their transponder on. This is your fleet identification. It's illegal to go without it, but it makes it very obvious when you're doing shady business. The detection range of your fleet depends on your surroundings. A nearby asteroid field is the perfect place to hide. Once inside, we kill our transponder and go dark. Going dark means running engines on minimal power, which reduces your heat signature and makes you very hard to detect. Doing this, we quietly approach planets and do business anonymously, so the authorities can't trace it back to us. Number 2. If you get jumped by patrols or spotted, hit the emergency burn and outrun them. If they're too close, there's a chance they'll try and fire off an interdiction, which temporarily fries your burn drives. If this happens, you're screwed. But we've got another trick up our sleeves. Number 3. Transverse jumping. The most essential skill you can learn as a fleet commander, which lets you jump right into hyperspace without using a jump point. It's highly illegal, it takes a while to charge, but it lets you dab on patrols before they can reach you. With all of these tools, you should be able to make fat stacks of cash.
Oh my god, this is like Firefly, but in a game. The Firefly, that TV show. I love this shit.
Of course, regular smuggling is fine and dandy, but the big profits are taken from trade contracts, as they often pay several times the market value, provided you can deliver on time. Or just hang around the local bar. At the end of the day, it turns out the best vehicle for human business is alcohol. This game is constant management, planning, and calculation. Sometimes things don't go as planned, or get thrown off by factors outside your control, but these can also be exploited for your own gain. Let's say a system has been targeted by pirates. Smuggling is rampant. Trade convoys are going missing. This is terrible. However, it's also terribly profitable for you. The more desperate a system gets, the cheaper they'll sell their exports, and the higher they'll pay for imports to stabilize the market. You could even go one step further. Why not take advantage of a trade surplus, buy off the excess, and smuggle them back to the pirates? Pirates have terrible trade routes and will gladly pay good money for marines, mechs, and narcotics. War and conflict is just business after all. In this game, morality doesn't pay. Opportunistic pragmatism does. When your business relation sours or ceases to be profitable, offer to take the bounty contract for that same group of pirates, blast their station into orbit, and receive even more money and praise from the faction that posted the contract. You'll come back a celebrated hero, and lower-ranking officials will generally stay out of your way. You're a smuggler, you're doing illegal shit, but you're also helping us out, so we'll turn a blind eye for now. You can also do the same for the Luddic path. Who knew that arming radical...
Basically how corporate world works, right? All the companies work. You do illegal shit, but you also help out the economy. You will turn blind eye, said the senator.
Space terrorists could be so profitable. This game is amazing, and with the latest update, you can go even further. With so much wealth and power, why not start exploring the far sectors of space? It's mostly filled with dead rocks and all sorts of natural and unnatural cosmic horrors like neutron stars, black holes, and even worse, the But somewhere in all that chaos, you might get lucky. You might find a planet that's actually good, not too much unlike Earth. So you run a survey, send an expedition, and hey, what do you know? It is a damn good planet. So why not colonize it? Start your own colony, form your own faction, invest back into the colony, attract more people and grow the population. Build heavy batteries, orbital battle stations, and patrols to secure your domain. Expand aggressively. Announce that your station is now an open port. Profit from your own black market. Start an organ harvesting operation. Take so much of the illegally harvested organ market share that other factions get jealous and try to fuck you over with red tape, bureaucracy, and trade disruptions to prevent you from getting ahead. Subvert their plans by bribing their commanders. Become an industrial...
Oh my god, this is so good. You can create your own fucking colony on some planet. And I like this red tab and bullshit. Basically, if you play this game, this will literally tell you how corporate world works, right? How you have to basically just make enough impact that people doesn't notice you, but not too much that people just realize, holy shit, this guy is basically fucking us up, and pull strings to fuck you over, because that's how companies do, right? Certain companies become too much over ambitious. Other companies, giant companies, basically pull all the things they have to, right, to basically fuck them. This is awesome, man.
Powerhouse. Get targeted by pirates for being too prosperous. Get targeted by the space jihad for being too industrial. Get targeted by the hegemony because they realize why you're so successful. Because your colony isn't run by humans. No, all this time your colony has been run by an alpha core, an artificial intelligence that overshadows the decision-making abilities of any human. In Starsector, using an AI is completely illegal. Using an alpha level AI is extremely fucking illegal. But
which world, right, whether games or movies, has AI, like, okay, fine, AI is always illegal, right? Every world has that, oh, this AI is illegal, because that's our mentality has become in our civilization. AIs are gonna become our overlord. That's our mentality. So every time somebody creates some world, AIs are always illegal.
But as long as you keep bribing their military, they can't do anything. Eventually, decide that having an AI isn't worth the trouble. Try and pull it out. But you can't, because it's missing.
Open the pod bay doors, Hal.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
Fuck you, open it now.
What's the problem?
I think you know what the problem is just as well as I do.
Realize that the AI already anticipated this. Get blackmailed by your own AI, who threatens to tell every faction in the sector that you've been using AI technology if you try and disconnect him. Do it anyway. Plunge your empire into total war. Raid the other factions and steal their copyright-protected blueprints. Watch them get obliterated by their own ship designs. Cripple their military. Propose a ceasefire. Receive no reply. Order a saturation bombardment on every core world. Condemn millions to their death. Win. Decommission every AI core and throw them into the sun. And consider what you've done. Then, put one final bullet in the chamber. Hold the barrel against your temple and shoot. Starsector. It's a lot of fun. Surely, Seth, there's nothing more to say and you've covered everything. Wrong. This game also has its own active modding scene, which adds dozens of new ships, weapons, and factions into the mix. There's even mods which merge them all together, letting new factions trade and interact with the rest. After finishing the base game, mods can keep you entertained with an entirely new game altogether. Sometimes the developers even incorporate mods into the main code if they're that good. Oh yeah, this game also works on Mac and Linux. This is probably one of the best products I've ever bought, and it only cost me $15. They make you use some old-ass website from the 2000s to get your CD key and download link, but hey, it works. I can't really complain about something I've played for several hundred hours, nor something that keeps getting updates yearly. My only criticism is that chasing enemies or getting into a fight can take a long time if you're flying the larger ships, but again, this is something I fixed with a single mod. In an industry where you're piled on constantly with mediocrity, garbage, and bloated design, this is something put out by a few guys that puts AAA studios to shame. I give it a 10 out of 10. I'm completely biased and I don't care. Starsector is a beautiful game and I thoroughly...
How is he biased? You played the game, you liked it. Biased what? You're not the developer or something?
recommend it. Go buy it. And if you're not sure, go try it. Here's my actual CD key. There's downloads below. You can smack it in there. Enjoy. As always, more content to come, so stay tuned. A warm thanks to the many members.
There you go, the Merchants Guild. Oh my god, this is the greatest game ever. Holy shit, I love every single things about this. All the things the developer thought of and put it in. The economy, you can make your own fucking world on a planet. Go to war even, AI and all the shit. Oh my god, this is incredible. No wonder this video is, I guess, pretty famous on his channel. Damn, Starsector, this was incredible. Alright people, not just that, you know, all the things, right? Even though this is not the 3D world, right? Like how the, you know, AAA games are. Everything, you know, the, you know, black holes, the neutron stars, and all the visuals are fucking awesome. I love this, man. I might play this. This is really good. Alright, if you like my reaction, don't forget to like, subscribe. Near 10,000, by subscribing, you'll be supporting my channel. Check out the Brick Sunday, there's a link in the description. Check out the cards for the new playlist of Seth and other playlists like Inter Student, Warhammer 40k and things. And yeah, I'll see you next time.